And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. It's another edition of Tell Al Tuesday, and I've asked Nicholas to join me. Now, Nicholas has a different story than the typical story you tend to hear on the Tell Al series. This guy loves to help other people. And I'm not saying that everybody else that's been on the show doesn't do that. What I'm saying is that's a core competency for who he is as a person. Now, why do I know this other than the fact that he told me this? I know this because he's an educator. He has been an educator for the past 18 years. He teaches music in the elementary school grades. And I will tell you, I think that's a very difficult thing to do. I think it's very difficult to teach people essentially a language when they are very young. Because music, to me, music is a language and it's also mathematics. So, I mean, he's basically teaching English and mathematics, and he's doing it in a nonverbal way. And I think it takes a special person to be able to do that. Now, in addition to that, he's a Lifestyles Unlimited member. He has joined Lifestyles Unlimited. He joined us specifically because he was looking for an education to begin investing in real estate, and he was looking for a networking group that could help him. So Lifestyles Unlimited provides exactly that. Now, what I want to do now is I'm going to bring Nicholas on because I want to get into his backstory. I want you to understand what it's like to be an educator, what it's like to, live that lifestyle, and what it's like to blossom from that lifestyle into the lifestyle he has today. Now, I've got to caution you, he's not real estate retired yet, but he is on a path to achieve real estate retirement. As a matter of fact, he's on a path to change the trajectory of his life. So that's part of the reason I want him on the show. So with no further ado, let me welcome Nicholas to the show. Nicholas, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Thank you, Al. Wow, what an introduction. I feel like a superhero.
You are a superhero. Dude, I mean, anyone that would get in the ring with elementary school kids and teach them music, I mean, that's because from my perspective, if I were an administrator in the academic world in an elementary school and they cut my budget, you'd probably be the first guy that I would cut. I mean, have you ever dealt with something like that?
Well, I haven't dealt with that, no. I know it happens, and I don't know if it happens as much anymore that they cut music. I mean, not up here in Detroit, but I don't think that happens as much. But when I was going to college, I wanted to be a band director in the high schools, and I was a trumpet player. I really enjoyed playing music. That's really what I wanted to do. Education was kind of, it was out there too. So when I graduated college, I found this job during a time where not many jobs were available. And it was elementary music teaching. Boy, was I in for a surprise.
Yeah, that's way different than being the band director. I mean, the guy that orchestrates everything. Yeah. So what's it like doing that career field? Give us some insight as to what your day-to-day is like. Oh,
boy. Well, I mean, it's really fun. It can be really fun, and it can be really awful, right? So it's, you kind of have these two extremes that happen. But most of the time, it's a fun profession. But there are things that we deal with that are high stress, and from different parenting styles to different socioeconomic groups to just issues. All the kids bring all of that stuff into the classroom, and it's our job to manage that. It's our job to take all that chaos that comes into the room at the beginning of the session or the beginning of the day and to create some type of order with it. And then after that order, to create some kind of learning environment. It's a complicated thing to do, and it's hard.
Yeah, it sounds like to me you're a major problem solver. I mean, because all these kids do come in with different backgrounds, different experiences. Some want to be in the music program, others are forced in the music program, and you got to deal with those attitudes. And you've got a heart to help other people. I mean, you've been doing this for what, 18 years now?
Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. 18 years in the classroom, and after real estate, I started thinking about myself differently in the classroom. Now, I stopped calling myself a teacher, and I started calling myself a coach. And so I view myself more of a coach in the classroom, where I'm coaching kids through life. I'm coaching them how to, be a human and how to grow up and how to deal with their emotions and all this stuff. And then after all that, I get to teach them some music sometimes.
What's it like making an income from education as compared to other potential career fields?
Well, when I first started teaching, the first position that I took, I signed the contract for a grand total of $39,000 a year. And about half of that was taken out for taxes and for medical benefits for retirees. And so it was very, very low. And but I was happy with it at the time. I signed the document, and that's what I signed up for, and all that schooling. And so one of the very first things that they did was they put me in touch with a financial advisor that the school. It was a third party thing, but the school said, you need to talk to this guy. And so I said, okay. I didn't know much about finances then. I didn't know hardly anything.
So this is their way of giving you a retirement plan? Is that where you're going?
Well, yeah, it's part of it. At the time, and this isn't true in Michigan anymore, but when I was hired in, there was we had a pension that we would be working towards, but to receive that full pension, you have to work a full 30 years. And, so there's that. But then they said, this annuity, you're also going to want to save up, because that pension, basically they're telling us that pension, it's not going to be enough for you to live on. So you need to sign up for this annuity as well, right? So I talked to this guy, I signed up for this annuity, and I started putting money into it out of my paycheck. So out of that $39,000, I had, half of it going to taxes and other things, and then another portion of it going into this annuity. So that was the plan.
Wow. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Oh, boy, let me tell you. After that, this was in 2006. And so 2 years after that, we had the great financial crisis. And at that point, teacher salaries generally, from here anyway, in Michigan, our salaries every year, they'll go up a little bit. They call them steps. And so you go up one full step and you'll get a little bump in pay. And it takes 11 or 12 years to get to the top step. Well, this was early on in my career. They went through some financial problems, and so they only, some districts froze teacher pay right there, wherever they were for years, and other teacher pays just went up half steps. Well, I was, one of the lucky ones that I got half steps, and so it's just creeping up a little bit at a time.
So that works out to be what, like an extra $50 or $100 per month? It's not like crazy money, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. It was about like $100 or $200 more a month. And then I got married. And so then after I got married, I decided to go back to school and get a master's degree in education. So I got my master's degree just so I could get there's another pay structure, and it was a difference of like $10,000.
What did it cost for that master's degree? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was about $16,000 for my master's degree, which was pretty low at the time. It's significantly higher now.
Yeah,
but that's how much I had to pay.
But the way the administration looked at it, it's like you're investing in your future career, right? That's right.
Yeah.
But what's the return on investment? Is it really significant?
Well, it wasn't. It was better than just keeping my my undergrad degree only. I was able to pay off that degree through a lot of sacrifice. So this is over the course of from the beginning of my career until I got my master's degree. That's about 6 or 7 years, 8 years maybe, and so that's 8 years of minimal salary increase or minimal potential and growth financially, and a lot of money's coming out of the check that I was making. So my ability to create wealth or even to save money in that amount of time was highly limited.
So you needed help. How did you find Lifestyles Unlimited? I'm really curious how you stumbled across us.
Mm-hmm. Well, so when my daughter was born, I was having a crisis. I was really considering and having a hard time with the decision I made to become a teacher. And I was considering about the future of my family, and it really changed everything when I started having kids. So I was looking for anything, Al, anything. I felt so trapped. I was looking for anything to get out of teaching. So I started an e-commerce store, and that was not good for me. It was a disaster for me. I was looking at even changing career to become a nurse, which is also kind of, that's not what I wanted to do. That would have required more schooling and more financial aid and all that. So I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like, you know what? I think the real estate game is something that I could possibly play. Well, they say things in the book like you have to do it the right way, quote unquote, the right way. And I'm also an educator that's always looking for the right information. So I started seeking out the right information as best that I could. I read a ton of books about real estate investing, just a ton. And I listened to lots of podcasts. And there was one of those podcasts out of the many I listened to that was a teacher from San Diego. And he was able to acquire something like, at the time, like $5 million in real estate equity. And I was like, what? This is, that's crazy. So I tracked him down, found his contact information, and I gave him a call. From that call, I'm looking for the right information to get into this. I want to do it the right way. I don't want to fail because I didn't have a lot to play with. And so his advice to me was, you need to look for this company called Lifestyles Unlimited. You need to download their podcast, their radio show. You need to just listen to it. And you need to just go sign up and become the lowest membership, that's called FFP membership. And if you have that, you can get to the expo. He said, that's what you need to do. And the funny thing was that this guy was not a member of Lifestyles, but he was really, he believed in it enough to tell me about it, that this is the place to go. And that's how I found out about Lifestyles.
That's amazing. I mean, somebody that's not even a part of our organization is promoting the benefits of being in the organization. I think that's a tremendous testament to what we do at Lifestyles Unlimited. So you checked out Lifestyles Unlimited. What did you do? Did you go to a case study? Did you go to a free workshop?
Well, after he told me to find it out, I started listening to the radio show. And on the radio show, they talked about a free day, and I was really, at the time, I was really interested in free. So, I looked at the information where the free day events would be. And luckily for me, it was in Detroit, and I was like, wow, this is so easy. I can get over there to this Detroit free day. So I went. It's only 20 minutes away from me, from where I live. And I went to the free day.
All right, we're going to break. I got to cut you off. But when we come back, we're going to get back into Nicholas's story. It's amazing. Stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
There is a dream killer here somewhere today. You're going to run into somebody that's going to tell you this stuff doesn't work. Like Vinette said, it's a scam. This is probably a multi-level marketing program. Somebody is going to tell you it doesn't work because you're the wrong race, the wrong age, the wrong sex, the wrong sexual preference, the something or other. And this is all set up so rich people can be successful and all you poor people can't. And if you believe that, they've won. But if you don't, you win.
Don't believe the dream killers. Start winning today with the Lifestyles Unlimited free workshop. Get the knowledge you need to replace your income in 2 to 5 years, and then find out how to take action. Register for the free online workshop at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon. I'm joined by Nicholas, and together we are working on your financial freedom as another Tell Al edition of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now I got to take a breath after saying all of that, but most importantly, if you're just joining us, you've actually missed a lot. Nicholas has conveyed a lot about his background, about what he does for a living, and the struggles and the challenges of doing what he's doing for a living. And he found Lifestyles Unlimited because he was looking for a way to change the paradigm of his life. Now, I'm not saying that his life was terrible. I mean, this guy is an educator, so he is, number one, a problem solver, and number two, he actually cares about other people. He actually enjoys educating children, and that's what he does. He's an elementary school music teacher. But if you heard the first part of the show, you would have understood what a challenge it is to make a living as an educator and become married, have children, and things like that. And he was talking about some of the challenges with regards to wage advances. And the only way he could get a significant bump in his wages was to go back to school, which meant he had to spend money he probably didn't have in order to get a degree that maybe he didn't really need so that he could get a significant wage bump. Am I even close to the truth, Nicholas?
Yeah, that's the truth.
So you also mentioned that when you became an educator, there was a pension. Are you still working on that pension?
Yeah, I have to work for 30 years to get that pension. But
so you got like what, 12 more years to go?
I have 12 more years to go. Yep.
Are you still planning to earn that pension, or have you changed your mindset based on becoming a Lifestyles Unlimited member?
I'm not necessarily planning on having the pension. So that could mean that if I decide to leave the career, if something makes more sense for me, I have the freedom to do that.
If let's say tomorrow you decided to, okay, I'm not going to be an educator anymore. I'm going to go do something else. Is there any residual benefit, or do you literally turn your back on that pension?
Well, I would be able to technically retire in the state of Michigan, and then I would have to wait until a certain age that I could take a partial pension. But at that time, it would be very, very minimal. The pension would be very minimal. And the pension by itself, even if I made it 30 years, is probably not going to be enough to live on. So taking it at year 18, it dramatically reduces the amount of income you would get from it. Another option that I could do is all of the money that I've paid into this pension fund, I could actually take that out of the pension fund and do what I want with it. So those are the two options that I would have if I left teaching. Oh,
you could tap into that and you could pull that money out and do something crazy like maybe buy real estate with it?
Exactly.
Is that something you're considering doing?
It is something I'm considering doing, yeah. It's an interesting part of my story, though, is we can get into this if you'd like. But,
yeah, let's do it.
So I felt, when I was telling you the story in the last segment about, my income potential was way low. I felt very trapped in my job. I was looking for anything to get me out of my job and get me out of this career. Then I found lifestyles. I found real estate. I started working it. After the success I've had up until this point, my views on my career have changed significantly. I feel more purpose in my career now. I feel more fulfillment there. It doesn't mean I'm going to stay there, but I have an amazing amount of fulfillment by what I do, and so it's through this process. And I think one of the things that has gotten me to this point where I've actually started to enjoy my career more is that it's not about money to me anymore. Whereas before this was my job. This is what I needed to support my family. And it's still true today. But the real estate has made it possible that I have the option now that I could actually do this instead of this. And now that I have options, I'm no longer trapped. And that feeling, not having the feeling of being trapped, has created this freedom to teach the way that I want to just do what I think is right, and to live by my values at work. And it's allowed me to be a much better teacher than I was before.
Wow. You know what you just described, Nicholas?
What's that?
You're regaining control over your life. You can feel it flowing through your body. I mean, you're becoming the person you are, as opposed to the person that the educational system wants you to be. That's exactly
right.
So what was the first real estate asset that you purchased after becoming a member?
So I purchased a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house out here in the Metro Detroit area. I went to the 2-day, and everything that I learned in the first day of the 2-day, I followed the system like as closely as I could, and I bought my first house. And so I bought this house. And like I said before, it was hard to save money. So up to this point, I had only saved $25,000. So that was a considerable amount of my net worth at that point. And when I bought this first house, I bought it. It was $55,000, and I had put in $18,000 into it. So the down payment, and the rehab costs for this house. And so it was a really, really hard thing for me to do, because it was such a high percentage of my net worth. So I bought this house for $55,000 in 2018. By 2021, it had doubled in value. So now by 2021, it was worth $110,000. And for the whole time that I owned it, for those 3 years, I was cash flowing $350 every month. That was just going in my pocket. And I had no problem finding tenants. In 2021, I pulled out, I did a cash out refinance of that property, and I pulled out $30,000. So I put in $18,000, then I pulled out $30,000. And from that $30,000, I bought my next house.
So this is the amazing power of real estate. And Nicholas is explaining to you literally from the ground up how he built not only his wealth, but his cash flow. So let me go back to the cash flow. What are you receiving today for cash flow just on those 2 single-family houses?
Well, the cash flow from those 2 single-family houses is a little over $1,000 a month. The first property, it went down to $174, but I was able to raise the rents. And then after I was able to raise the rents, it was cash flowing $400 a month.
Wow. So
yeah.
What does $1,000 a month do for an educator that's getting a minimal salary? I mean, is it like a major injection into your household?
Yeah, it's a huge infusion of cash, every month for our lifestyle, and it's so, and we've become very good at living within the income that we make. Like we do pretty well in terms of the choices that we make, and now this extra infusion of cash every month, we see things growing. We see forward progression, and it's been really nice. It's changed things.
Did you buy any other real estate other than these 2 houses?
That's the only single family homes we have. We also decided to get into a passive investment as well.
Okay, so tell me about that passive investment.
So we became preferred investors at Lifestyles, and we met a lead investor there in Texas, and there's a 36-unit apartment complex down in Texas that we're a part of, and that's making us money without doing anything.
So you're living in Michigan and you're investing in Texas. How does that work?
Oh, that's easy. It's the operator that's there is doing a really nice job on the apartment. He's operating it really well, and we just receive reports from him, and it's easy. I don't have to think about it at night.
Because he's doing all the work, right?
He's doing all the work, yeah. And I just, I get the benefits of that. And it's growing, the passive investments. It's just, I don't know, I almost kind of forget about it because I don't think about it. And I just get a report and I'm like, oh yeah, that's going on. And I see I'm making money without thinking about it.
So that particular passive investment, is it like a yield play? In other words, it's designed to pay you an income stream, or is it more of a value play? In other words, it's designed to double your equity, or is it a hybrid between the two?
It's a hybrid deal. We have received some distributions from it, but it's more on the value side that we got into it on purpose to double our money. So we are looking for deals that are going to double our money every time. And so, that's the second house that we bought. It more than doubled our money.
What's the next deal? Are you going to go back to single family? Are you going to go to multifamily? Because, you've got options now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is a goal of mine to buy. I want to buy a 10-unit around me in Detroit. I'm looking for a 10-unit apartment deal that I can manage myself here and learn how to operate a multifamily property. That's a goal that I'm getting to next. In each step that I want to take, I want it to be more challenging, because I'm seeing this growth financially and personally, lots of growth.
I think it's amazing. I'm just kind of taken back on the trajectory of your life and how it's changed over the last 5 years. From being stuck in I'll call it a dead end job, to getting involved with real estate to where you could keep that job, but you could develop the wealth, you could develop the income streams. You're really changing your life. Yeah.
Yeah, I recently did all my finances for, just kind of where everything was for 2023, and our net worth increased 15%, and we didn't buy a new property last year. It just increased 15%.
Just went up 15%. You didn't do any heavy lifting. It just went up 15%.
That's right.
Most people listening to this radio show, they didn't get a 15% increase in their net worth. As a matter of fact, their net worth potentially went down when you consider all the inflationary factors that we're dealing with in the country. Kind of amazing how you're just a contrarian to what other people are doing.
Yeah, that's true. I am a contrarian to what other people are doing.
So do you talk about this to your other educator friends?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so this is a passion of mine, Al. All right, so I talk about it all the time because I believe that educators need to do this. I think educators need to see the advantages of that. They can do this. They have those advantages that I talked about before of buying a property and what it can do for them, not just financially, but what it can do for them inside the classrooms. I think that I've developed this self-awareness and control over myself that's made me a much better educator. And I want to see that with other people too, because I can see the stress on educators' faces. And I don't have that stress anymore. I'm calm, I'm collected, and the factor is that I've done these things in my personal life. And so I want to, talk about that with all of the educators that I know. I want teachers to know this information.
Well, Nicholas, based on this radio show, they're going to get that information. Look, if you want to do what Nicholas is doing, you want to do what I'm doing, you want to do what the 50,000 members of Lifestyles Unlimited are doing, go to lifestylesunlimited.com, sign up for that free workshop, and let's get you going.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the host, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.